Hi, my name is Tyler. I'm here with Killarney Boat Works. Today we're going to be talking about placing in planks, making sure that they're right, measuring them, types of sealants, types of fasteners. We're going to talk about techniques for selection of different types of woods for your boat. And we're going to kick it off. Before we kick it off, we're going to kick it off with some pictures just to show what we did before coming to this stage. So pay attention. Okay, so during this time right now, we have identified the rod. We're gonna pull the rod out. So the rod's coming out right now. We realized when we took the top plank off that the bottom plank was rotted too, so we pulled that out. When we pulled the plank apart, we realized that the batten was cracked. And you know what? With that weird drainage tube and stuff like that, it's gonna be inevitable, it's gonna happen. So we fashioned a brand new batten out of old white oak that's like English white oak. So we put that in. Remember, keep in mind, as oak gets older, it gets harder and it gets stiffer. So if you have a really piece of old white oak, it's not uncommon for you to see sparks flying off a piece of wood. Okay, we put the first plank in, the bottom one, and then we put the top plank in. We sealed it up with 5200. As you can see in the photo, okay? We cut it out. The bottom plank actually came out really easy when we took it out, so I got a really sharp trace off of it. We're gonna talk about traces. The top plank though, when I was pulling this out, it was coming apart in 1,000 pieces, so really hard. So the way I like to do it is sometimes you pull the rear plank, so the bottom plank I pulled out. So I had the bottom trace line, okay? Then I was able to form the top trace. And when you have this all done right, these two traces will fit perfectly inside of the area that you want to replace the planks. Keep in mind, you need to scarf it so you have like your clearance between the planks. This particular boat, when we got it, like from our client when he picked it up, someone went in and routed the seams. So the seams are actually dug out. Personally, on a boat, I don't like the routed seams, especially when someone kind of does it like with like a hand tool or weight, because you're realistically removing the material you would have for putting 5200 in or any kind of a seam compound, and you're just kind of leaving just a batten for your actual water barrier. So in the future, if you ever consider doing this to your boat, avoid doing it, because you're just letting future rot potentially build up on the backside of the batten and the plank. So when I went in here, we cut bungs, we replaced the bungs, we glued them in. Like I said earlier, on previous episodes, I like to use stainless steel fasteners. Stainless steel fasteners can take the time, the pressure, salt, the weather conditions before they go. Downside is, if you're working with stainless steel and you're using with bright work, with like you have a stained surface, sometimes you can get the stainless steel burn. So it kind of looks like a black haze in the mahogany. You can't really get it out once it's there, you gotta cut it out. Some people say you can bleach it a bit, but it's an actual oxidization of the stainless steel. It's bleeding through the wood's pores. If you do your traces right, your traces will actually just sit inside, and it looks really sharp if we wanted a cardboard boat. Okay, selection of mahogany. I like to go with a large piece of mahogany. I actually rather have more room than less room. When you're kind of like working with a piece of wood with exactly the right size, you know, you have no room for error. So this is a nice piece of African mahogany. I picked this up in Brandon at Winter Plywood. This is one of their shorts. But if you go into like the bins, you can find a pretty good deal on like wider pieces, but at the same price as finding a 4-inch board or a 5-inch board. So this board is actually quite wide. I'd say it's almost verging on 8 inches. So I cut it, I put it in. Usually when you want to trace your trace, I place my trace on the board, and I like to put 2 staples just to hold my trace in. Nothing is worse than trying to put a trace on and then you trace the other side, the template moved a bit of like room, like a couple of millimeters, and then you sort of trace the other side, and then you realize you've cut your piece of wood too small, or you cut it wrong, it didn't match the taper. So thinking ahead, putting a staple in there, 2 of them, makes your life easy. No one really cares, there's gonna be 2 little tiny pin pricks where the staples were. Okay, so when I placed it in, I hit it with 5200 on the back side on the batten, and then on the bottom plank, I put the new planks on. I got them really nice and moist. I steamed them for about an hour. I put them on, and I put my stainless steel fasteners, and I just went away, pushing it in. If you measure it right, you're still gonna be fine corrections. So I like to go in there with the sonic cutter and zip off any edges that are like a little too tight for clearance and stuff like that. A good tool to have too is just have a little orbital sander with you. You know, you want to sand it a little bit here just to get that little bit of movement, okay? So, I put it in, I put my bungs in. This is a wood bung. This is a polyester like filler bung, okay? What's the difference? Well, I would say I've seen both fail and I've seen both last a long time. So it's kind of user's preference. If you're gonna be working underneath on a white painted hull, does it really matter if they're bunged or if they're polyester resin? Probably not. But when doing underneath the waterline, I like to do wood bungs. Just something makes me feel, you know, the nice and warm and fuzzies on the inside when I'm doing it underneath the waterline. Okay, so then I did my final sanding, cleaned everything off, and that's where we're at right now. We're gonna be moving into priming this side of the hull. We'll be cleaning more of these seams to make sure that the seams are good, putting in seam compound where it needs to be filled, and buttoning her all up, getting her painted. Then we're gonna start doing some planks on the bottom. You'll see on future episodes. I hope you enjoyed this episode. My name is Tyler. I'm at Killarney Lake Boatworks. If you have any questions or concerns, put them on the chat. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. We're on Instagram and YouTube. Thanks again.